Phone call destroyed me. Last Friday night, after my buddies got to the hotel, I explained what I had heard on the phone call. All three of them were stunned to say the least. They asked if I had saw any signs of this, and TBH, I really hadn't. I said I didn't know what I was going to do. I informed my one buddy that the proposal was off, and given the circumstances, he completely understood. One thing I had my buddies do when they left their houses is turn off tracking, in case their significant others were checking and getting back to Rachel. I know Rachel isn't close with one of the wives, but at this point, I didn't want to take any chances. That night, we spent the night at the hotel bar, and I tail-spun pretty hard. Shot after shot after shot. It wasn't pretty. My buddies were getting calls all night from the SOs asking where they were, and to their credit, they stood their ground and backed me up, just saying that we were safe and not to worry. One asked to speak with me after assuming that where they were, but I didn't want to talk to her. She kept saying Rachel is worried and just wants me to come home. I just told my buddy to deal with it, and I'll fill them in another time. I spent most of the night hitting on the bartender, which I'm not proud of, and a couple of girls who were traveling for work. The next day, I thanked them all for spending time with me, and they took off back home. This week, I had one of my buddies scope out the house we were renting, as it was on his way to work, and he gets to work after Rachel and I would have already left for the day. Rachel had taken Monday and Tuesday off, but went back to work on Wednesday. As soon as he informed of this, I went to the house and started packing as much stuff as I could. The house was a mess. Dishes in the sink, clothes laying everywhere, trash was full of takeout and ordered food. It took me about 3-2 hours to get all my crap out. Before I left, I cleaned up for Rachel as a final gesture. That afternoon and evening, I got flooded by Rachel with calls and texts after she realized that I had came home and gotten all of my things. So, for now, I'm now staying at my mother's house until I can find a place of my own this fall. I spoke with the landlord, and without Rachel's signature, he won't remove me from the lease, meaning I will have to cover my half of it until October. My mom has said I can stay with her until then, at which point I will try to find a new place. I know, a 38-year-old moving back in with his mother. How amazing life has treated me. I finally contacted Rachel on Thursday and told her we could meet up at a local bar and grill downtown Friday evening. I told her one of my buddies would be attending to make sure everything was on the up and up. She complained for a few minutes, saying she wanted me to come home and talk with her so we could move past this. But I told her if she wanted to see me, this was how it was going to be. Eventually, she agreed. So Friday night, Rachel shows up after my buddy and I had been there for about an hour. I had already ate and took a couple shots of Ciroc to calm me. We sat down and she wanted to make small talk, asking about me and blah, blah, blah. I cut that garbage off. I told her I had a list of questions. Immediately, he eyes welled up. I asked her, how long has this been going on? She swore this was the first and only time. I told her to cut off the shit. I said there was no change we were ever getting back together, so just tell me the truth, so I can have my closure and move on with my life. She stuck to her guns for a few minutes, but then, as most of you predicted, she came clean. Every time I went on those trips for the past 2 years, she thought I was going to cheat on her, so she was having her fun too. This set me off. I told her she was using this as a effing excuse just to sleep around. I then asked who she was talking on the phone with, but she refused to give me an answer for this. I asked if they used condoms, and she said sometimes. I said she's lucky I got an STD test, 'cause I'm clean, so she doesn't have to worry about getting one unless her most recent horse didn't use one. Finally, before I left, I told her about my plans. July 4th proposal, I showed her the ring and told her that I was going to propose at our friend's party, because that was where they introduced us. It was around here that she just started crying. She begged for another chance. I told her that I will always love her, but we are over. So yeah, she's been messaging me all day, but I'm going to block her here soon.